Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and I'm delighted to welcome today an accomplished entrepreneur and author from California, USA, Mr. Feras Alhlou. Feras, welcome to the show.
Ashutosh, thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. Feras is the co-founder of Advisor for New Consulting Businesses, and also which is also called Startup with Feras. He's an author. He's an author of a book titled Google Analytics Breakthrough from Zero to Business Impact. So Feras, before we talk entrepreneurship, tell me about your journey in brief and what inspired you to start your journey as an entrepreneur.
Sure. We'll get to inspiration in a second, but I'll give you a quick background. So I went to school for engineering, electrical engineering, and then computer science. That type of work just didn't click. I missed a massive layoff by a hair, and that was sort of a wake-up call. And then I raised my hand and see if there's an opportunity to do something that's more client-facing, more people-oriented. And I really like that type of work. And from there, promotion here, promotion there, got relocated to lead an office here in the Silicon Valley, in the Bay Area, and got into the startup scene after that. So that takes us to 2003. I was a VP in a cutting edge, high-tech company here in the Valley. We raised a lot of money, $96 million from it was VC backed. And then I think we grew to about 150 people. One day, it was midweek, I was walking to my office, and then a newly appointed CEO, he walks right behind me, and then he closes the door. And that was odd. And he said, "You have a minute?" I said, "Sure." And then he said, "Hey, Feras, we have a layoff this Friday and you are impacted." So Ashutosh, I don't know if you've been through something like this, but every time I remember it, even till today, my heart starts racing, my stomach drops. It was a really difficult moment in the sense that a whole lot of emotions go through your mind, through your body. Why me? What did I do wrong? That sense of inadequacy, the lack of self-worth. And then you get angry. And then I had a young family at the time, my wife and 3 children. All of that is going on. And, I went back home early that afternoon. My wife said, "Wait a second, why are you so early?" Because I'm used to coming back home at 8, 9 p.m. And I told her what happened. She was very supportive. She's an amazing woman. We've been married for 36 years. And she was very supportive. We went through what happened, and it was hard. It was a hard few days. And then you have to bounce back. Yeah. So I started to work on my resume, sent it around. It was a very dry market, similar to what we're seeing today, a lot of layoffs. And then 7, 8 weeks into it, nothing, not even one interview. So I ran into a friend of mine who wanted to start a business. And I said, "You know what? This is the only option in front of me." So we joined we joined resources and started our very first business. So I don't know if that was inspiration, inspiration into, I always say I was forced into entrepreneurship, but we took it seriously and went. And then we'll talk about some of the fun stuff after that. But that's how I got into entrepreneurship.
Your story, it actually sends a shiver down my spine. And I'm sure one of these days we'll see a book coming out on your experiences. But there must have been some amazing learnings. But let's now move to, Feras, your work that you do helping founders. So what is the nature of the help you are able to give founders to build successful businesses?
Yeah. So, we struggled a lot in the first couple of years, and then we did well. And then we built another business and sold that business and then pivoted, and a lot of right turns, left turns, things planned, things unplanned. Later, we sold our business in 2019 to Dentsu, the global media giant. We were at 8 figures by that time. And then fast forward to about a year and a half ago, I said, okay, how do I share what I do? How do I give back to the community? How do I make sure founders
Mhm.
don't make the same mistakes I made? They'll make their own mistakes, but I want to share, I want to help them avoid the mistakes I made. And really, one thing I stress is it's all about people. So as founders, as entrepreneurs, make sure you surround yourself with a people, whether it's contractors, part-timers, advisors, board members, your first hire. That is probably the number one advice I always share, is that it's all about people, whether it's services or products. More so in services, I think if you don't have a great team early on, it's
Yeah.
going to set you back months and years potentially.
Great response. And it's so critical, as you say so rightly, to have the right people. But Feras, tell me, you must have worked with many, many, many different entrepreneurs. What are some of the most common mistakes a lot of entrepreneurs make, other than, of course, not hiring the right team?
Yeah, and I work, our focus, the content that we generate on our YouTube channel and our daily newsletter is focused for early stage founders. So those who have an idea and they want to start a business and they're struggling or they're fearful, bunch of reasons, and those who started and they're struggling at for whatever reason. So a lot of people, they want to follow their passion. Passion is important. Passion is at one stage in your life maybe more important than other stages. So we have in our, because I'm into martial arts, we have these black belt principles that start with Feras. And one of them is passion is optional, skills and sacrifice are not. So you can pursue your passion through a hobby. Maybe you do something later when you grow the business, when you have options, you can be more choosy. But in early on, it's your talent, it's your skills, and then the sacrifice. You got to work hard. I mean, you founded some amazing companies. You've written 9 books. I'm pretty sure you did not work 40 hours a week. At some phases in our lives, we have to take care of our obligations. But there has to be a phase in someone's life where you can put a lot of time and effort and resources. And I think that would be that. Those are the ingredients, I think, for building and scaling businesses to 7 and 8 figures.
Well said. And coming back to what you said a few minutes ago about hiring the right people, when I was reading about you and preparing for my conversation with you, you talk about hiring A players. Now, one of the biggest challenges I've faced as an entrepreneur is when you don't have enough money and you're a startup with only a gleam in your eye, the best people don't want to join you. Plus, you can't afford it. I'd love to get your perspective on what is your approach to discovering and attracting undiscovered talent.
I like that, undiscovered talent. So I can tell you. So there are different answers depending on the stage of the business. But since you asked about early on, you don't have the amazing benefits that other startups have. If you don't have money from VCs, you can't probably offer a whole lot of benefits anyhow. I think you as a founder, you have to have a vision. I'm not talking about like a 10-year plan and no, just like, what is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to build? And then some people will be attracted to that. And they have to believe in you and in your vision. And you have to, as we say, you have to walk the talk and you have to model what you want to happen. So I think that was in terms of our very first employee who later became a business partner. He got some equity and that's how that story happily ended later when we sold the business. But later on, we couldn't afford to offer even health insurance. And I would tell people, and we were very transparent. I said, I would share with you our financials monthly and quarterly. And as we do better, as we make more money as a company, we will take a chunk of that and add more benefits to the business, to the employees. And we delivered on that. And that I think helped a lot. And I think just through your network and people know you, and people want to work for money and benefits, but also they want to work in a place where they're learning, where there's a healthy environment, where there's a good culture. So those would be, I think, your differentiators when money is tight.
Well said. You also state, and I quote you, time kills all deals. Can you expand on this principle and how it has guided your business decisions?
I mean, you as an entrepreneur, you got to be on the ball. You got to move quick. I mean, you built successful businesses, so basically in sale, you can do everything perfectly. You have the perfect pitch, the perfect proposal, the perfect follow up, but so many things could go wrong. The budget might get misallocated. The decision maker might be fired or move on. The external environmental factors outside of your control could happen. So the faster you get to that signed contract, the better you are. So I have another black belt rule we call the 2-1-2. Basically, respond in 2 hours, and then take the first meeting, and then 2-day follow-up. If you said, I have a proposal, 2 days, give him a proposal. So now I'll just add to this. On this first meeting, I remember we were pitching a global airliner, and it was overseas. I was in the US. And the first meeting they gave us was 2 a.m. our time here, Pacific. And I didn't want to go back and say, give me another day and delay like this whole thing by a week. So we took on that first meeting. We got on it. We pitched. We won that deal. So I'm not saying you do this every time, but early on, you kind of bend over backward to make sure you get those deals.
Great response.
Thank
My
you.
next question for you is that how important is the digital presence for startups? And what foundational steps should entrepreneurs take to prioritize their presence in the digital space?
I mean, these days it's foundational. I remember in 2003 when we were trying to sell digital marketing and websites to small business owners here in the US, they would look at us, what website? Google, like ranking on Google. But now whatever business you're in, I mean, if you're in the hospitality sector, if you don't have good ratings, people are not going to buy from you. For small businesses, same thing. If you don't have a nice professional LinkedIn profile. So I think you don't have to have a website and Facebook and Instagram and everything else. I think find maybe like, if you want to build a website, make sure it doesn't have to be, you gotta pay like $20,000 to get a design for a website, but you can do something professional and have some fresh, relevant content that is of benefit to your clients. So I think that's important. So either a website or a professionally run LinkedIn profile where people can just look at it and say, yeah, this person knows what they're talking about. So spending some time on this is really important. Whatever digital presence that you think you're most active in, whatever channel you're active on, I think put a lot of your energy into it. So don't spread yourself too thin, trying to be sort of keep everything up across all, once you have resources, I would say do not spread yourself too thin, trying to optimize a whole lot of channels.
Well said. My next question for you is that how can founders better prepare themselves for the emotional highs and lows that are a part of an entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah. First of all, knowing and acknowledging that you will go through highs and lows in hiring, in sales, in marketing. You spend a lot of money on a campaign and it doesn't give you the return. And then emotionally, as a manager, as a leader, you'll have issue with people, issue with clients, issues at home that bleed to the workplace. So these things happen. I think some of it is mindset related, knowing that you will have ups and downs. So I think, a strong foundation. I think whatever path people follow, a good sort of the mindfulness aspect, the spiritual aspect, I think that helps through tough times. But also, I think technically, the more you learn about business, the more you learn about your technical domain, your area of expertise, and also about managing and growing a business by learning, I think, is education plus application. So the more you learn and apply, you build that competence, and then I think competence brings confidence. And then if you have a day where you had a bad situation with a client, you know how to respond, you know how to turn this around, you know how to make them happy, delight them. So it's really about getting better at what you do, what you offer as a service provider, and also I think learning about business in general, and that you're not the first one who started the business. Just learn from those around you, especially those who have been to where you want to go.
Well said. So one more question relating to your entrepreneurial journey, and then I want to move to your book. For us, you've advised so many different entrepreneurs, but this question is for you. What is the most significant piece of advice you have received that has impacted your entrepreneurial journey?
Long list of advice. Some I didn't listen to early on. I should have. You know, I read slash listen to a lot of books and audiobooks. And that was something I was fortunate to pick up early on. And I believe one of the books that had a major impact, positive impact on me was Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, classic, I think. And that first habit, the idea of being proactive, that things will happen to you, life will hit you in ways you never expected. You don't control that, but you control the response, and you have agency. So that stayed with me throughout my career, again, including that time when I was laid off, including time when actually I lost one of my co-founders, young person. It happened very suddenly. I get emotional if I talk about that, so I won't. But being, you have agency. You can respond to things. It's difficult. It's not easy, but you can do something about it. I think that's probably the most, that's the one that sort of stayed with me the longest.
Great advice. Great advice. Thank you. So for us now, let's talk about your book, Google Analytics Breakthrough: From Zero to Business Impact. My first question for you is, or before I ask the question, I'm going to ask all of you and listeners to go and check out Mr. Feras Alhlou's book that I've just spoken about. So my first question is, what motivated you to write Google Analytics Breakthrough, and what gap did you aim to fill?
Yeah. So we published in 2016. We started to write, we worked on it in 2015 and in 2016. So there was the whole thing about analytics was still nascent at the time, and the Google Analytics platform and that software was running on millions and millions of sites, globally. So there was a huge appetite for this type of thing. And our agency, we were one of the top Google Analytics certified partners globally. And so we had the domain knowledge, and we had our own framework of understanding the client's needs and turning that into insights. So we thought we had something to offer. And then we had my co-author Eric, and the late partner. We worked on it, and we actually included some of our team members with their thoughts as well. So we thought we have something to offer the community, and then it was very well received. We were fortunate to publish with Wiley, and I think we ended up selling 15,000 units. We had, I think, 110 plus reviews on Amazon, 4.4. So something we're very proud of. We're happy that we've done. It was a hard project because we were running the business in the morning, writing the book at night.
Well said.
But yeah, we wanted to, and also some of it is like, this is what consultants did, and some of our, that's my competitive nature. Maybe some of our competitors had a book, and we want to sort of outdo them in a way. So there's all that. There's the pure thing of helping others and sharing what we know. And also we wanted to show our knowledge to our clients, and it helped us. It helped us. We didn't make a whole lot of money on the book. You don't make money on books, but it really helped us significantly from a positioning perspective.
Great response. And for a startup entrepreneur, how critical is it to integrate and understand Google Analytics from day one?
Yeah, for startups, if you're spending a lot of money on marketing, you need to invest in analytics. If you're not spending money on marketing, you don't need really marketing analytics. So, and just as a note to your listeners, the book was written in 2016, and Google has introduced some new versions of the software. So some of the technical specs in the book are not as current as what Google has introduced recently with something called GA4, but the concepts are still applicable. So in terms of, I think, entrepreneurs, I think the one thing, aside from the technicalities or from the implementation aspect of any software, the idea is if you don't measure, how can you improve? So what's not measurable, it's really hard to improve on. So if you're spending $2,000 on whatever campaign, paid ads or email, set up a system in place to just understand how this campaign is performing. I think this is a basic mindset to have is I should be able to measure my activities. And then you can dig deeper, maybe hire someone, a consultant who can help you do a proper way to collect data to make sense out of the data and help you, impact the business.
And since your book has come out, you must have received a lot of feedback. What are some of the common pitfalls entrepreneurs face when implementing Google Analytics?
I think companies, and I am, so we sold the business in 2019, and then I was out of the analytics industry for a number of years for my non-compete, and then now I'm back into it. We have a company I'm a co-founder of. It's called eSense, and we see the same issue. We saw the same issue in 2010, and we see it in 2024. I think a lot of companies, mid-size and even the enterprise, they don't take analytics as a business process. It's more like a project. Let me hire this consultant and they'll implement it for me and I'm done. I mean, think of analytics like accounting, like a CRM, like an email system. It's a business process. You have to invest time into it. Like, what is it that you want to measure? Where are you spending your marketing dollars? It's not just about, let me buy that most expensive software, the enterprise edition of Google Analytics, and then I'm done. Actually, I would say the Pareto rule, the 80-20, and probably more like 90-10, I would say technology is 10% of the challenge. Getting the right help, maybe consultants or maybe in-house to implement and provide you with the business insight that you need to move the needle is what's typically missing. But brands are, especially larger brands now, they have, the whole data science and machine learning and AI. You're seeing a whole lot more adoption, and a whole lot of more brands are investing in having their own in-house teams.
And my last question for you, Feras, what is the one piece of advice you would want a lot of our viewers and listeners to take away from your book?
It's sort of what I said earlier. It's any business process, analytics included. The more you invest in that process and you make sure that entire company is adopting that process and the data that you're collecting is cleaner, the way you interpret data, there's a process for reporting, there's a process for dashboarding and deriving insights. I mean, all of that doesn't happen on a project by project basis. It has to have resources, dedicated resources. So I think the one advice, aside from all the technical ways to implement any software and Google Analytics specifically, it is that business mindset of treating analytics as a business process and investing in it. I think that would benefit companies significantly.
Well said. And on that note, Feras, I just want to say thank you so much for speaking to me. Thank you for speaking to me about your own incredible journey. I must say I'm grateful that you shared your own personal experiences in the company and that led you to the founding of your own entrepreneurial journey. Thank you for talking to me at such length about how you support founders to build successful businesses. Thank you also for speaking to me about your book. I think analytics is now a part of our lives, and I think you highlighted this at least 10 years ago. Thank you again for speaking to me, and good luck to you.
Yeah, Mr. Ashutosh, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for all the great work you do. I've checked out some of your podcasts and amazing guests out there. So thank you for giving back and sharing your own insights and asking a few tough questions, but really appreciate it and enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much. And if you're ever in the Bay Area, I'd love to have you here, meet you over a meal or connect in person.
I look forward. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website, www.tbcy.in, to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.